Saints Row the Third came out on the 15th of November 2011, and it's safe to say that with the next generation of consoles just around the corner, it was probably held back to some degree. It was heavily criticised for having missing features from previous installments and a lacking world map, so it's no surprise to hear that a lot of content was cut from the final game before release. So today, that's what we're going to be discussing. What content was actually cut from the Saints Row the Third, and what features were going to be in the game, but never made the final product. So a little while back, Volition held a 10th anniversary stream for Saints Row the Third, where they spoke about tons of cut features, development, content, game mechanics, and all sorts of really fun information. But one thing that gripped me was a 2008 trailer showing off a super early build of the third game. Now this was actually a visual representation for THQ to see what the Saints Row guys had in offer, and it was set on the Saints Row 2 engine. It's the video that's on screen for you right now. But Volition originally intended to have parkour all over the third game as their primary movement mechanic, however they couldn't get it the way they wanted, so in the end decided to scrap it. What's really interesting to me though is there's still some leftover aspects of the parkour that you can find in the third, such as jumping over fences, onto boxes, stuff like that, and the traditional roll that you see in the third game. But such an amount was cut that you can barely see they even had parkour of any sort in mind. At one point in the third's game development, a theatre-style mode to capture game clips was implemented. This would allow the player to capture different angles of gameplay and have badass moments from different perspectives. It allowed the player to mess with FOV sliders, lock cameras to certain objects just to get that perfect shot for the coolest moments that you did in the game. It was originally added because Machinima approached Volition asking them to add the feature to the game, obviously so more videos could come out based around the whole Machinima mode, I believe it was called. Think of it more of like a Rockstar editor before Rockstar did it. This was really close to being a real thing on the PC platform, but was cut just before release, but leftover game files basically let us know it was there. Volition spoke about this on a stream, and it's definitely an interesting watch. I might try and link a ton of streams that I think you should all watch down below, so check the description, see if I remember to do that. Volition originally wanted to have more activities in the final game, but due to the limitations of the third's engine, they never happened. I think one of the most painful ones to any Saints Row fan out there is the dear loss of fuzz. They wanted this mode to be in the game, but it didn't work with the engine, so they scrapped it entirely. It's crazy to imagine how this mode would have looked in Saints Row the Third and how much fun it would have been to have caused havoc in Steelport as a cop, but sadly it was just never meant to be. One thing I definitely remember being cut and me being really upset that was cut was the original sensor bar for the third game. If you don't know what that is, just take a look on screen real quick. The reason they cut this obviously was because it wasn't covering up what they needed it to cover up, and they could have got it past the ratings if they got it working correctly, but they couldn't get it working correctly and it wasn't covering up what they needed to, and it would have just caused more issues than it was worth, so they originally went with the whole blur thing. But I think seeing something like this return in the future, which rumours say we might see with emojis, would be very interesting to say the least. So this is all I originally had planned to talk about in the video. I was going to go more in detail on some of the things I spoke about previously, but whilst researching this video, I found a post on Reddit by a guy called Bellpow. Not sure if I said your name right, hopefully I did. But it talks about cut story things from Saints Row the Third, and it is incredible. Now, I'm not sure about the credibility of this post, but what I'm going to do is put it on screen, as I'm still not 100% certain. We're going to talk through it, and I want you guys' thoughts. Now, this seems incredibly interesting, and there's lots of things I definitely want to talk about, so yeah. So they talk about some really small changes, like a steel mill in the north of downtown nearly being removed. I didn't even know that existed, to be honest. I didn't really think of it as a notable area, so sorry guys, you went to all the effort to not remove it, and I didn't even know it existed. But they do talk about the story changes, which is really what I want to talk about. So here's what it reads. The story went through many drastic changes over different drafts and scope reduction. Here are some of the biggest changes. The Syndicate used to be made up of 5 actors. Now I'm trying to think about all of the Syndicate members, and isn't it still made up of 5 actors? You got Philippe Loren, Kilbane, Matt, and then the De Winter sisters. Isn't that all of them? I don't know what that means. I thought it was already made up of 5 actors, but what do you know? Oleg wasn't cloned. He was a leg breaker for the Syndicate who joined the Saints to be with his role model, Josh Burke. Oh dear God. Okay, that one's not quite as cool as I thought it was gonna be. Oh my God, it actually makes sense because he says something like, me and Oleg are heading over to Camp David to watch some Nightblade in Saints Row 4. Wow, that is... Gat didn't die, he was captured and you saved him. Well, that kinda came true in the 4th game. Shaundy had a subplot that explored survivors' guilt and depression. Wow. I would have really loved to have seen that actually, because I feel like it'd have made Saints Row 3 feel a bit more grounded and a bit less wacky and fun-filled. It'd have been really awesome to kinda just see what it's like, you know, to see how the emotional impact just affected her, I guess. It'd have been cool to see that. And it also would have meant her character change would have made a bit more sense. So that'd have been very cool to go through, to be completely honest. Here's another one here. Shaundy never appeared in the game at all. Instead, she was off filming her reality show in Mexico. At the end of the game, you were to see her unwittingly on a date with Killbane without his mask on. That would have been insane. Honestly, that would have been so cool, to be completely honest. I mean, imagine that. You've been chasing and hating this guy the entire story. You find out Shaundy's with him. Oh, that would have made a very interesting ending, to say the least. Viola and Kiki both joined the Saints. Well, one of them did, one of them didn't. Here we go. Oh god, this one's big, and I'm definitely going to mess up some of the words. The calamity that caused Stag to roll into town changed multiple times. Originally, Killbane set off a dirty bomb that totally cratered Stillwater. Then it was changed to the Syndicate destroyed Stillwater in the middle of a convention called SaintsCon, killing thousands of innocent people, as well as Tobias and Laura from Saints Row 2. Next, it was changed to blowing up the Saints Church during Gat's funeral. Finally, it ended up with the destruction of the bridge. Wow, that's incredible. Honestly, I'm going to be honest with you here. I'd have preferred all of those other things over the bridge thing. That's insane. That's a really good, like... That'd have been really good motives for, like, why Stag would have came in. And it gave Stag a bit more reasoning. That's insane. Yeah, I mean, I can't believe that. There was a bonus cutscene planned after the bridge is destroyed, where the Saints are singing a "We Are the World" type song to raise money for Stillwater. Wow. Incredible. Lots of history, lots of facts, and lots of stuff I didn't know. Now, whether this is true or not, I'm not 100% sure, but it looks legit, and it definitely looks interesting. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. But just before I go, I just want to say thanks for the support. This will probably be the last video for a while. I told you I want to space out my uploads more and spend more time on them like I did with this one, doing full-on research and actually writing out scripts for me to say. So hopefully you saw an increase in quality, and I'll catch you probably in a couple weeks.